Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to your January 2021 Astro Update. It's Serena here. So, as a fellow Sagittarian, as I look at some of these transits, I'm kind of feeling stoked, okay? I have to tell you. As we begin the month, the sun is in Capricorn. Of course, the sun went into Capricorn during the solstice in December. As I record this, this is the day after. And when the sun goes into Capricorn, Sagittarius may feel like there is an uptick in their finances because for Sag, Capricorn is the second house of earned income. And I just throw in any kind of money, even gifts. Sometimes the eighth house can be that for Sag, but I have found that the second house works fine enough, and I've experienced it there. So, the thing that's kind of tricky about being a Sag is that we have Christmas. So it's easy to think, oh, that's just because of Christmas gifts. And, everybody's getting extra money right now. And I think that there might be some truth to everyone seeing more abundance around this time of year. But Sag in particular, you may find that this period of time is very lucrative for you. But now we have Jupiter and Saturn in your third house at a friendly angle to Sagittarius. And I'm also talking, obviously, about those with Sagittarius rising. If you are listening for your rising sign, well, everybody, this is going to be a general forecast. And so I can't guarantee that these transits will enter certain houses exactly at the time that I say, but in any case, it can give you a general idea. And with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, and being that that is a sextile to Sag, this puts these two planets, which have both in recent years been in Capricorn, in a more harmonious placement. And for Sag, this is a third house, which is a mental house. Like Sag rules the ninth house, also a mental house, more abstract knowledge than mundane knowledge that the third house represents. But the third house also represents any kind of communication or teaching, especially younger grades and things like that. And if you're somebody who has been wanting to write something or wanting to, I would say even internet-based, that is your own self-expression in particular, this may be the perfect time to be doing that in the next year. And even past this time, when Jupiter has moved into Pisces, Saturn will still be in that third house. So shoring up your any kind of training that you want to get that will get you where you want to be, but also anything that is communication based. And this is where the internet comes in. The internet is associated with the 11th house, but the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, so you got that base covered. And the third house is a house of communication. And what is the chief form of communication, the vehicle for that, the internet. So we can look at the third house as the internet as well. And and Jupiter can even be, monetary gain in this sector. But in any case, because Jupiter and Saturn are in early degrees of Aquarius, for many of you, this may still be in your second house of earned income, so it could benefit you in that way. But on the 6th, you have the sun in that second house. On the 6th, Mars goes into Taurus, another earth sign, and this for Sag is the 6th house of health. Now, Mars can give you a lot of stamina. And if you're somebody who has been a little bit sluggish physically, Sag. Maybe you haven't moved your body that much in recent months for whatever reason. It's very interesting because I was doing a private reading, but I was looking at transits, with the transit of Mars in Aries, and it seemed like it was in Aries forever. I mean, it was there for months. And so now it's finally in Taurus. And I think that we're going to start to feel that shift because it was in Aries for so long. Now, of course, Aries is another fire sign, which means that it forms a trine to Sag. So it was a friendly angle. But it did go retrograde in Aries, and there may have been some kind of, this was the fifth house for you that had to do with creative matters, the business that you own, perhaps a love situation, and there may have felt like stagnation, maybe some kind of anger that you could not express in that area of life. And now Mars is moving forward, and I think that we're going to feel that momentum, even though Taurus is a very chill or even sometimes kind of languid sign. I still think that in the sixth house, this can make you very, I was going to say ambitious. The sixth house has to do with organizing. So you may be like a busy little beaver doing all kinds of projects around the house that have to do with organizing your life. If this is work related, you might be working overtime, or maybe you're working a second job and you're just like really work, 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 a worker bee. On the 8th, Mercury goes into Aquarius, so it's joining the party in that third house. And Mercury rules the third house, so that can really make you desiring to share your views, to kind of, what's that term? Speak your mind, maybe, and let other people know where you're at. The third house can be your siblings, so you might be in contact with them for some reason or just because. On the same day, Venus goes into Capricorn. Cha-ching! That's the second house. Venus rules the second house. So that can be a great trigger for money. And speaking of which, on the 13th, we have a new moon at 23 degrees in that sector, the second house. So we got Venus there, we have the sun there, and now we have the new moon here. And of course, at the time of the new moon, the sun is at the same exact degree, 23 Capricorn. And I believe this is going to form a conjunction with Pluto. And if so, let me double check that. And even if it's off a degree, it's still going to be a conjunction. 24. Pluto can be wealth as well. So this could be like a great money period. The better it gets, the better it gets. And be intentional about it. Think about ways that you can create new income streams. Dream big, but also, I think you can dream big and dream practical at the same time. Capricorn requires us to be grounded in our vision, but we can still dream big at the same time. We can just do things methodically. The very next day, Uranus turns direct at 6 degrees of Taurus. So here we have Mars that has recently gone. Let me see what degree Mars is at that time. Okay, on the 14th, Mars is going to be 3 degrees of Taurus. So 3 degrees, yeah. That's a conjunction. And let me see when they are actually forming an exact conjunction. We're looking at the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th. Okay. And those can be, so that's when the sun goes into Aquarius, we're having, um, oh wow, I didn't think about it this way. Well, what do you know? Actually, this is the day, a couple of days after sometimes, when I look at the ephemeris, it doesn't really show on that date because it's right after midnight. So, it could be actually on the 21st when um, Mars goes to 7 degrees of Taurus. On the 20th, it's at 6 degrees and, oh yeah, no, what am I talking about? Yeah, actually, this is wild. On the 20th, Mars and Uranus are an exact conjunction at 6 degrees, and they stay that way for a couple of days. So those are the 2 days, 20th and 21st. So I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but that's all semantics because actually, even if it's a degree or two off, it's still a conjunction. But the reason I'm reacting is because January 20th is inauguration day. So to have a conjunction between Mars and Uranus sounds like revolution to me. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Okay. What else is happening? And again, this is falling in that sixth house for you. So, how could that manifest? I would say specifically doing things, having work that is online, perhaps. Maybe even some kind of desire to really break free from that daily grind, because the sixth house can be your daily schedule. So you might just like walk off the job if you're working in an office. You might just say, take this job and shove it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. The Mars conjunction can really, encourage that kind of rebellion because Mars can be very rash in its decisions. And so, really, about breaking free in and of itself, but then you add Mars, it's like gasoline to the fire. On the 28th, full moon at 9 degrees Leo, Leo, fellow fire sign, and that is the fifth house. I'm sorry, that is the ninth house, and this is the house that Sag rules. Now, because it's at an earlier degree, at 9 degrees of Leo, this is going to be for some Sages, a lot of Sages probably, the vast majority, in the eighth house, which is Scorpio's house. So this is like that, what we call the shadow house. This is the house of death. So it could be a death of, it's like an internal, very emotional, but on a very personal level to you. Maybe breaking an addiction, bad habits. And the thing that's interesting about this, because I really didn't know that the eighth house was connected to bad habits. I always associated the 12th house, which is another water house, which is Pisces, with bad habits. But the eighth house is the house of obsession. And a lot of addictions are addictions because the person is obsessed with that, whatever that behavior is. And it can be, the eighth house is taboo, so it can be something, you know, um, especially when you're talking about drugs and certain drugs that are considered really like beyond the pale, and there's people do them in secret. The eighth house can be those secrets, the shame, but also that intrigue about all of that, because sometimes people get off on their, having this private life, or this what do they call it, like a second life? I can't think of the term, but you know what I mean, double life, where they have this surface life, and then they're like doing all these other things that are kind of they would be embarrassed if it got out what they were up to. And that's another thing about this full moon, it can bring out secrets. For the rest of you, the earlier degrees, up to 9 degrees of Leo, this is going to fall in your ninth house, which is Sagittarius house. And this could be graduating from college. This could be perhaps ending a trip that is overseas. You might be publishing a book. Perhaps you are ending some sort of course that has a spiritual theme to it. This could be a spiritual download that is going to light your path moving forward. And then on the 30th, we have Mercury retrograde at 26 degrees of Aquarius. So we finally have this Mercury retrograde, personal planet retrograde after a few months. And 26 Aquarius, so once again, that third house where all that other stuff is happening. And I wonder how that will be. Mercury in its own house. Be careful about any kind of misunderstandings with siblings or neighbors, or aunts and uncles, or what have you, things of that nature. Mercury retrograde in the third can be any kind of documents or things that you're, documents, forms, whatever is going on. Maybe this is connected to like coming home from a trip and your passport has some kind of an error. I would say too, with that full moon in the ninth house, for those of you who have it there, that might even be like that you're able to, you've done something that earns you this trip. So whether this has to do with, let's say you work in the academic world, maybe they, allow you to go to another country to teach. And so you have to get all your ducks in a row, in terms of documents, and you have a snafu, something along those lines. The third house can be business matters, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So anything that and this can be rethinking. It doesn't mean that you have to have some kind of a mix up, but it could be that you're rethinking how you market, how you sell yourself, your products, and things of that nature. So that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you had a wonderful birthday too. Mine was last week, and it was pretty, intense with that eclipse. But anyway, what's done is done, right? and I'm looking forward to January. I hope you are.